Ready? Hey guys. Today's video is another continuation on the devotional that I'm doing off the Bible app version. It is called Fight Devotional for Men, and today's section is called The Stupid Shuffle. Today we'll see Samson hit rock bottom, but you need to understand Samson did not ruin his life all at once. He ruined it one step at a time. In fact, when we begin to wander away from God, we all seem to start with the same three small steps. Step 1, taunting our enemy. Samson enters into the enemy territory again to visit a user-friendly woman, a prostitute. When he leaves the city, he takes the city gate with him, the symbol of security. Why? Just to taunt them. Step 2, rationalizing our sins. Some guys justify the sin based on how clean, if you will, the rest of the life is. This is my one vice. Other men justify it as something private. It's my business, not yours. Some write their own rulebook. I can look at the menu as long as I don't order anything. And some guys blame others. If she would do that, then I wouldn't have to do this. Step 3. Assuming our disobedience won't cost us. Just like Samson, we keep thinking, I'll just do the same thing I did last time. I'll shake myself free. But our sins always overtake us eventually and overpower us. Your sin will find you out. Today, you will see what that looked like for Samson. Samson was a warrior strong enough to kill 1,000 men. He was strong enough to rip a lion apart with his bare hands. He was strong enough to pull 700-pound doors from the post and carry them off. But in the end, he wasn't strong enough to lead the people he should have been leading. Don't settle for being strong in your career. Don't settle for being strong in your hobbies or at some sport. Don't settle for being physically strong. Instead, focus your strength on leading those around you towards righteousness. Men can be strong in all kinds of ways, but most leave leadership to others. A lot of guys seem to think they can keep getting away with doing the same things over and over. They let their emotions and their impulses dictate their actions. Samson kept going to places he shouldn't, chasing forbidden women, antagonizing his enemies, and then justifying his bad behavior through lust, anger, or revenge. He suffered a few emotional consequences, but nothing that ever cost him the one thing he seemed to care about most. That thing he relied on, his strength, until it did. Don't let that be you. Don't settle for being strong at things that don't last and weak at things that do. Tap into the warrior within. Don't fight meaningless battles. Fight for what matters most. Fight for your faith. Fight for your family. And fight for your life. Starting in Judges 16, verse 1. One day Samson went to Gaza, where he saw a prostitute. He went in to spend the night with her. Verse 2. The people of Gaza were told Samson is here, so they surrounded the place and lay in wait for him all night at the city gate. They made no move during the night, saying, "At dawn we will kill him." But Samson lay there only until the middle of the night. Then he got up and took hold of the doors of the city gate, together with 2 posts, and tore them loose, bar and all. He lifted them to his shoulders and carried them to the top of the hill that faces Hebron. Sometime later, he fell in love with a woman in the valley of Sorek, spelled Sorek, whose name was Delilah. The rulers of the Philistines went to her and said, "See if you can lure him into showing you the secret of his great strength and how we can overpower him so we may tie him up and subdue him. Each one of us will give you 1,100 shekels, which is about 28 pounds or about 13 grams of silver." So Delilah said to Samson, "Tell me the secret of your great strength and how you can be tied up and subdued." Verse 7. Samson answered her, "If anyone ties me up with 7 fresh bowstrings that have not been dried, I'll become as weak as any other man." Then the rulers of the Philistines brought her 7 fresh bowstrings that had not been dried, and she tied them to him. With men hidden in the room, she called out to Samson, "The Philistines are upon you." But he snapped the bowstring as easily as a piece of string snaps when it becomes close to a flame. So the secret of his strength was not discovered. Then Delilah said to Samson, "You have made a fool of me. You lied to me. Come now, tell me how you can be tied." He said, "If anyone ties me securely with new ropes that have never been used, I'll become as weak as other men." Verse 12. So Delilah took new ropes and tied him with them. Then the men were hidden in the room, and she called to him, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." But he snapped the ropes off his arms as if they were threads. Verse 13. Delilah then said to Samson, "All this time you have been making a fool of me and lying to me. Tell me how you can be tied." He replied, "If you weave the 7 braids of my head into a fabric on the loom, and then tighten it with a pin, I'll become as weak as any other man." So while he was sleeping, Delilah took the 7 braids of his head, wove them into fabric, and then some Septuagint manuscripts, Hebrew replied, "I can if you weave the 7 braids of my head into the fabric or the loom." So Delilah, tightened it with a pin. Again she called to him, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." He woke up from his sleep and pulled up the pin and the loom with the fabric. Then she said, "How can you say I love you when you won't confide with me? This is the 3rd time you made a fool of me and haven't told me the secret of your great strength." With such nagging she prodded him day after day until he was sick to death of it. So he told her everything. "No razor has ever been used on my head," he said, "because I have been a Nazarite dedicated to God from my mother's womb. If my head were shaved, my strength would leave me, and I would become as weak as any other man." When Delilah saw that he had told her everything, she sent word to the rulers of the Philistines, "Come back once more. He has said everything to me." So the rulers of the Philistines returned with their silver in the hand. After putting him to sleep on her lap, she called for someone to shave off his head, or shave off the 7 braids of his hair. So she began to subdue him, and his strength left him. Then she called, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." He woke from his sleep and thought, "I'll go out as before and shake myself free." But he did not know how the Lord had left him. Last verse, verse 21. Then the Philistines seized him, gouged out his eyes, and took him down to Gaza. Binding him with bronze shackles, they set him to grinding grain in the prison. Proverbs 26, verse 11. As a dog returns to its vomit, so fools repeat their folly. 1 Corinthians 10, verse 12. So if you think you're standing firm, be careful that you don't fall. So I hope you guys are able to take a lot away from this. I would love to hear your thoughts, so please drop them down in the comments. And if you guys haven't already subscribed, please do and smash that notification bell. That would help me a lot. And I hope you guys have a great night. Thank you.